walk in the rain. It's crazy. It'll be all wet. Anyway, I've got to go because I've got to go to drinks. Bye. Hey, team. Hello, everybody. Shell and Andrew won the race again this week, and hopefully I can speak better than I can type today because I just reread my comments that I just popped up, and sorry for the typing. Anyway, so g'day Shell, g'day Matt, hello Kay, I've already said hello to you. Hello Alison, hi, thank you. Peter and Karen, how are you? Emily and Kevin, hi. Cotty and John, g'day. Barry, hello. Sharpie and Rod, lovely to see. And Ben, hi, good to see you. And good evening, Paul and Roz. How lovely to see you all here. Gosh, it's a revolting evening here. Well, lovely weather for ducks, as they like to say, and we actually do have a heap of ducks in the vineyard, which is quite amusing. They're cracking around, having a lovely time. Hello, Sarah. Hello to all the Trixes. Lovely to see you. And, we've got Jill and Richard and the dogs. I can just see the dogs running back across the my eye line. So they'll be in a minute. I'll be surrounded by wet, panting, jumping dogs. So we better get on with this before they come in. But it's absolutely pelting down out there. I'm very glad that I had an excuse to come and have a drink with you guys rather than go walking in the rain. Hello, Kim and Dave. How you going? Got you. What's everyone eating? I've got Shell and Andrew are doing mushroomy cauliflower mashy kind of thing. Sounds awesome with some beans and some garlic in there. Hello, Angela. How you doing? Yay! Welcome. So, guys, it's kind of like it's blowing my mind that it's October tomorrow. What has happened to this year? Well, I think we all know. Oh, pork goyo is a fantastic cake. Hello, Paul. Did I say hello, Matt? I think I did. Oh, I hope that the mushroom recipe is delicious. I've made it once and I thought it was pretty yum. Duck breast and mushroom pasta. Hello, Sue and Daryl. How you going? Alice and homemade Chinese dumplings. Fantastic. Not made by you. Even better. It's nice when people feed you homemade dumplings. Karen, Craig, Joan and Riley are all there. The gang's back together. Oh, how wonderful. I'm so glad that you guys can get back into the same space to join us. Hello, Kenneth. What are you drinking tonight, Kenneth? Because I caught up with your with your social media this week and you've already drunk this wine. Maybe you had another bottle in the cellar. Pastor Russia, wet dogs. Hello, Polly, you're very wet. She's got her raincoat on, but she's still absolutely sopping, and Frodo is too. Anyway, hello. Samantha and Paul. Hello. Oh, Peter and Karen went a bit bad at the truffle farm. How fun. And hello, Peking duck pies, mushroom arancini. Oh, beautiful. Hello, Nina. You got to watch out, Kenneth. We have eyes everywhere. Kim, chicken leek and truffle terrine, duck liver and cherry pate for entree, duck and cherry sauce to come from Maine. Yum, go crazy. We're having David's dumplings, including Peking duck, later on. Jill and Richard and I decided that we deserved a little bit of takeaway, so Jill's going to be preparing the dumplings, and we'll tuck into those after everything's wrapped up here. Hello, Linda. Welcome back. Lovely to see you. Richard's just gone wandering back out into the rain. I'm not sure. Maybe he's lost his tennis ball. Hello, Sid. Mushroom cannelloni. Delicious. Awesome. Well, it sounds to me like we need to get some. So anyone get their duck tattoo last week? Not sure, Paul. I think Linda and Jeff were pretty keen on it. Hello, Scott and Anne-Marie. How lovely to see you. Paul, veggie fritters, roast veg and green. Sounds delicious. Hello, Nigel. Beef koftas. Yum. Well, I think the wine will probably stand up to beef koftas even so. Rob and Deb, g'day. Pork gyoza, garden asparagus, roast buds. Perfect. Bit of everything from all the food groups. All right, let's get some wine in our glasses. So very, very excited about this one. Now, hang on. I started saying something before and then got distracted, as is often the case. So it's October tomorrow, and we've got, after tonight, we've got 2 more weeks with this box 5. So we've got 1 more Chardonnay next week and 1 more Pinot the following week. Then we'll have a week where we'll do something else. Oh, Michael, spinach roll sounds delicious. Oh, Anne-Marie, that would be delicious. White wine cheeses, very good. So, yeah, we'll do a cocktail or or something. I haven't quite decided. It's like, hello, Jeff, you made it. Well done. Jeff raced out going, I've got to get home to do the drinks with Kate. So, yes, we've had a bit. Oh, there's a wet dog. Frody. Hello, you're on television. It's all mad here, as usual. So, parking. Oh, good work. Don't crash your car talking and typing and parking at the same time. Yes, so after the next 2 weeks, we'll have a week hiatus just to talk about something else, drink something else, and then we're going to come back with box 6, which will get us, if my calculations are right, to Thursday the 2nd of December, which means that that's really our end of the year box. So what I thought I'd do, I've sourced a couple of French wines because I think the biggest request that's come in from you guys over the last 2 years is, could we compare red Burgundy and maybe a white Burgundy to our wines and see how they work. Oh, hello, Nurim and Keely. Lovely to see you. How's the new house? Is it gorgeous? Welcome back. So we've got a Chablis and a red Burgundy, and there'll be 4 Moorooduc wines. It'll be awesome. And then we'll do something. We'll have our little breakup Christmas party. Whether we can do it here, I don't know. I'm not planning anything really in gatherings and things at the winery really until next year, because I think it's just all too still up in the air. And with borders and things, with people interstate and stuff, I just think it's not fair to try and organise something here. Anyway, full of boxes, excellent. Well, that'll give you something to do. Unpacking boxes, one of the most annoying but rewarding jobs of house moving, getting them all unpacked and put in the right place. It's good. It feels good. So we'll have a Christmas get together, whether it be here on the in the space in the computer, or whether we're able to get together somehow. Moving is always hard work. Glad you're home now. Michael is drinking the wine. Excellent. Thank you. Look, I agree, Michael. I'm going to get my wine open so that we can all talk about it together, because I think it is a wine that, as I mentioned in my little email this afternoon, so Pinot Noir 2014, it's a wine that was a bit of a favourite of mine when we released it, which was not actually the case for everyone. A lot of people found it a bit challenging after the 13, which was big and generous and quite soft, because 13 was quite a hot year. 2014 was a year that we had, it's nice seeing it go into the glass, isn't it? 2014 was a year where we had really difficult weather during flowering and fruit set. So the season started quite cool, but it started quite early, which meant that when the vines were trying to flower and set fruit, we had some really horrid weather that came across, rain like tonight, some hail, some high winds, and we had very uneven fruit set as a result. We had quite a small crop as a result, and the wines were very concentrated and very structured, and a lot of people found that structure as young wines a little challenging, particularly after the silky softness of the 13s. So they were a bit harder to sell, and I know that our distributor in Melbourne got a little freaked out about he just started working with our wines, and he'd known our wines for a long time, but knowing them and selling them are two different things, and he was a bit freaked out about how different the 14 was to the 13. And it was a bit hard work for a while, but I think we kind of got through there. And I actually think this wine now, because of that concentration and that structure, it's a wine that, and we never talk about, well, we have a lot in the last few weeks, but we never talk about cellaring the estate wines. We sort of say, buy the single vineyard wines to put in the cellar and collect and let them evolve and change. But a lot of our estate Pinots and Chardonnays actually and Pinot Gris actually cellar extraordinarily well as well, and can be very, very exciting and rewarding with some time in the cellar. Right, what are you people saying? Yeah, Michael, I agree. I haven't put it in my mouth yet, but this wine has always been a tannic wine. And when it was young, the tannin kind of overwhelmed the fruit a little bit. Even though it was quite dark fruited, it was quite savoury, and it still is. I get that on the nose. It's kind of almost got a cassis, black currant kind of aromatic to it, as well as black cherries and sort of woodsy, sort of dried leaf and sort of dried wood and mushroomy kind of characters, like walking through a forest. And when I taste it, I know that tannin's going to be there, but it will be silky and velvety and all the things that you want from tannin. So very excited. Be really interested to see how it opens up and how it goes with food. I'm very glad it's working with your pork gyoza, Kay. And Paul and Roz, yeah, glad that you're enjoying it. And, the really sad thing is that we don't put these wines away. And we knew that this wine, particularly from 2014, was going to be better with age. Oh, Michael, I'm so excited for you going off to London. I'm not quite sure. How did we get onto Hyde Park? But, yes, I think in early January, heading off to London, visiting Hyde Park would be absolutely delightful. Going for a walk in the snow, if they get some snow, being there in the cold is just awesome. So, Craig, how long did we leave it in the bottle before release? Oh, hello, Tennille. How are you going? I know, 6 did come around quickly today, didn't it? So the wine usually we have it in bottle for a couple of years before we release it for the estate wines, and that would have been the case with the 2014. It's yes, Kenneth, absolutely. Like a forest after rain. If you take a walk tomorrow morning, you might get those Moorooduc 2014 smells. Be really good. It's like almost dry, like wet soil and pine cones and things like that. It's really quite intriguing. So yeah, Craig, usually with our estate Pinot, we give it a couple of years in the bottle before we release it, depending on how things are going through. But with the 14, yeah, it would have had a couple of years before it came out. Hello, Jack, Zach, and Hannah. Lovely to see you. I'm glad you got the link tonight. Alison, you're hilarious. I'm looking forward to summer here as well. I'm not going anywhere for a while. So, Craig, would we hold it back if it was reserved? Do you mean if you said, can you hold me 5 cases and I'll buy it from you in 5 years' time? Probably not, because we have we'd love to be able to, but we have very limited storage space here, and it would be a logistical nightmare. What we could do is, if there were people who were interested in buying this wine with cellar ages, we could put a pallet of the estate wine aside in the same way as we do with the single vineyard wines, if we think that people would pay a little bit extra for the cost of us cellaring it for them and releasing it late. Traditionally in Australia, particularly with wines like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay from the Mornington Peninsula, people assume that if you're releasing a wine with 5 years of age or more, and this is a 2014, so that's 7 years, people assume you just haven't been able to sell it, and that it's just been, hanging around because you can't sell it. Okay, I get what you're saying. No, we couldn't hold it back. Oh, if it was, I get what sorry, I understand. This is a tricky thing with the written thing. So if it's too restrained, would we hold it for longer? No, because we'd sold through our 2013s and we needed to have continuity of supply. And also, if you hold it back for too long, even if you know that it's going to be better with extra age, people say, why didn't you sell it when it was younger? Was there something wrong with it? Couldn't you sell it? Were you struggling to sell other things? So it's very complicated in Australia. I think if we were in Burgundy or somewhere like that, they'd be a bit more accepting of us saying, oh, it was a very tight year and the wine needed more time in the bottle before we released it. And so that's what we did. But people don't yet, and we're getting there, but people don't yet trust us as grape growers and winemakers to say, hey, this wine's going to be great, but it's not great quite yet because it's too tight. And I've had that experience a number of times with wine writers, that I'll send them the wine and say, look, this is pretty young, pretty tight, let it open up. And they'll write a review saying, oh, this wine's not much good because it's all tight and it's not expressive. So a lot of people are very very limited in their ability to crystal ball gaze, I guess, and see how a wine's going to look. We know the wines from here well enough to know that if it's going to be tight and it's going to be firm. And I think the problem as well is that because this is and this is going to sound weird because this is not a cheap wine, it's a $40 wine, but in the hierarchy of wines in the Mornington Peninsula and Mornington Peninsula Pinot and Australian Pinot, $40 for a good bottle of Pinot is pretty reasonable price, and it's not a price. There's a lot of people who are making Pinot that sells at $40 that doesn't age very well. It's for drinking early and it's for getting it through. And their wine that they're making for long-term aging, they're going to sell at $60, $80, $100 plus. We don't want to elevate our prices ridiculously. We want the wine to be in a price bracket that people who value it can afford to buy it and drink it on a regular basis. And we just hope that people like you guys who are very engaged with the wines, particularly now after spending every Thursday night with me for the last nearly 2 years, we hope that, you'll have a bit of an experiment. If you've got a decent cellar, put a little bit of wine down, learn about opening a young bottle the day before and drinking some of it then, and then keeping the rest for the next day. Those sort of tricks, I think, are really good. Little tips that I can pass on to you and help you to be able to make the most out of the wine. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, what's everyone saying? Samantha, a lovely rainy walk in the botanical gardens. How beautiful. I think, yes, a nice glass of red wine with some structure and some concentration is exactly what you need, and hopefully something warm. Okay, I'm afraid there is none to buy. We've got tiny quantities of this, and again, we'll be holding the little bits that we've got. We'll be holding for special tastings in the next couple of years. So what I can say is that if you've got any of the 2017 Estate Pinot Noir, quite similar in structure, quite similar in character. The 17 is a little bit plusher as a young wine, but has that same sort of concentration and structural character, pretty special. Interesting to know. I'll answer that in a moment. I was just going to comment on Michael's comment about the length of this wine, because it really is incredible how long the flavour kind of evolves and develops and tracks on the palate. You have a sip, you let it all kind of you sip it, swallow it, and the flavours keep evolving. And that's something that a lot of wine writers, particularly when they're talking about Burgundy, but I think for great. Hello, Iggy. How you going? Hello, Jeremy. Lovely to see you. I think we talk about the peacock tail on Pinot Noir, and I think this wine has definitely got the peacock tail. It kind of travels along your palate while it's in your mouth, and as it gets to the back of the palate, it gets bigger, and as you swallow it, it gets bigger again, and it kind of shows all its glory over the time after you've swallowed it, and the flavour goes on and on and on, which is really cool, which suggests this wine's actually got quite a lot of time still to keep evolving. I'm not sure how long, it's one of those how long is a piece of string kind of questions. And when it's looking so delicious right now, I'd struggle to convince people to keep it for much longer. But anyway, Matt, I'm so glad the marinated mushrooms are good with the Pinot. I love that combination. I love those big meaty mushrooms with a good marinade, grilled. All those flavours work so well with this wine because it's still got the structure, it's still got that plush fruit, but it's also got those lovely savoury things. Thank you, Craig. I do think it's a serious bargain too, and I hope that we can continue making wines that are delicious and very good value for money, and that more and more people recognise that along the way. So it's not a wine to save for a rainy day or for a special occasion or a 50th birthday party. It's a wine that you want to get some bottles and drink them over time with food and a couple of people that you like, like what we've been doing on Thursday nights, just sort of drinking and enjoying. Right, what else are people saying? Tanil, yes. 2014, was a very difficult year for a lot of people, and it was mainly because of that weather during flowering and fruit set, and it was quite a cool year. So it's one of those years that we're really lucky. We were really lucky here, and we're often very lucky here that because we're sort of in the northern part of the Mornington Peninsula, we're a little bit warmer than quite a lot of the other parts of the Mornington Peninsula. We're a bit ahead of people as far as the growing season is concerned, and that has been our saving grace in difficult years for various reasons. I think also because we work really hard in the vineyard, and we work really hard to select only the fruit that is going to be of ultimate quality for our wine. It's there's a lot of selection that goes in there, and making sure that nothing substandard gets in. So it's partly the luck of the draw of where we decided to plant our vines, which was really very much down to luck in the early days. I mean, it is, Dad tells the story of stepping onto the property and falling in love with it. It's got great views when the clouds are not down over us. It's got a good feeling about it. It had a good feeling about it from the very beginning, but it's turned out to be a really great place to grow Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So pretty lucky. And also we work with some excellent other vineyards that we lease that have equally good, but we work hard with them. You know, we do a lot of work in the vineyard, and that's a big difference. And we work really hard to make sure that the fruit that we're dealing with is as good as it can possibly be. So in a difficult year, it's easy to get a bit slapdash and let some moldy fruit in or whatever, but you know, we work hard not to. Yes, absolutely, Angela. It's the vibe. It's the feeling. You know, it's cool. So, yeah, I think, Tennille, you do have to be careful with 14s. But I think that our wines from 2014 are delicious. But they were hard to sell, partly because they had that reputation of being difficult, and also because the reds were quite tight and firm and savoury. Thank you, Cotty. Yes, agreed. Good, and mushroom arancini would be fantastic. I hope the duck is good as well with it. Rob and Deb, the cellar here at Moorooduc, my father is quite obsessed with trying to harness the natural forces of the earth. Jeremy has just given us the details. So the cellar is at the bottom of the building, which is underground. Basically, it's got 300 millimeter rammed earth walls. The cellar where we keep some of the wine is underneath the main building, sort of dug into the side of the hill. The other part of the cellar is also very well looked after by those thick rammed earth walls. Absolutely no need to temperature or humidity control. We've got excellent natural temperature control from where the cellars are. So I think, you know, if you're building a building to have a cellar, that's the best way to do it. Dig it into the ground or dig it into a hill and build a building on top of it, and really kind of get some help with the design to make sure that you don't have to temperature or humidity control if you're living somewhere like here on the Mornington Peninsula as well. If you're in New South Wales, or even more so in Queensland, in areas where there's a lot more humidity and heat, you might need to invest in temperature control, which will obviously be more expensive. But yeah, I think working on designing something and keeping it underground if you can, or keeping it low down, having thick walls, having high ceilings, all of that kind of thing helps, and that's certainly what we're at. Everyone's saying that the mushroom's going very well with this. Well done, pulling out the slow cooker shell. I think that would have been delicious. Tennille, look, guys, I know you think I'm just playing hard to get, but there really is very little of this wine. If I've got any, I've got maybe a couple of 6-packs, and it's not enough to release for sale. It's enough to maybe use for another event. So you'll just have to keep an eye on the events calendar and come and drink it with us next time we do something like this at the winery. Craig, how much of our picking is based on chemical testing versus eyeballing the bunches? Well, when you say chemical testing, I presume you mean testing in the laboratory, because we don't really do Well, let me tell you what we do. Basically, Jeremy and Richard and Hugh Robinson is the absolute king of this, but all of the boys get involved in sampling. And as we're getting towards time to pick, they go through the vineyard and pick and bring bunches of grapes from across the vineyard into the winery. We then squash it up and we taste the juice to see what the flavours are. We test the sugar levels and we sometimes test the acid or the pH, but it's mostly looking at the sugar levels and the flavour character of the wine. They're the most important things. Thank you, Barry. I think that's absolutely right. Buy current releases and try to keep them. Buy twice as much as you want to drink now and put the rest away. That's a good trick. So Craig, we do the analysis of the sugar levels and things like that, but it's a bit of everything. It's looking at the bunches, but it's tasting, and it's also with Pinot Noir, it's tasting not just the juice, but the skin and the pips to see that they're ripe, because that gives us the quality of tannins that we're looking for. You have to have ripe skins. So Jeremy's giving you some really good information. Emily, sorry, but that's all right. The wine actually is enough to not need food at all. But yes, it's making me a bit hungry too. Cheese dessert shell, excellent. French triple cream brie with this wine, absolutely awesome. And a very different flavour profile and a very different kind of showing off of that wine. Jill and Richard look like they haven't drowned, but it looks like it was a bit dodgy out there. They both got their tracky dacks on now, which is lovely to see. It was awful, Jill. Well, you can have, Polly says it was quite exciting. Oh dear. Well, you can have a glass of wine now, Jill. So Jeremy is telling us, and yes, Samantha, I will answer that in just a second. From memory, there were about 2 weeks over flowering in November, second and third week that coincided with flowering. The temperature didn't exceed 14 degrees. So it was terrible weather for flowering and fruit set. So very small crops, small berries. So then you get lots of skin to juice ratio. So then if you can get the grapes ripe, then you get really good tannin structure, you get really good flavour, really good concentration. As Jeremy's saying, tiny berries in 2014 also result in lots of influence from high skin ratio, lots of tannin from the skins. Thank you, Jeremy. Yes, very thick skin, Paul and Roz. Absolutely. Yield was down quite a lot, Barry, and yeah. So and because people found the wine a bit tough when it was young, it sold a bit more slowly than the 13 did, and then the 15 that came after it, which was a bit of a shame because it was a wine to put in the cellar. But I think even today we would be in a situation where we could say to people, seriously, buy this wine, put it in the cellar, drink it in 6-7 years' time, and you'll be very well rewarded. But even back then, people were a bit not thick-skinned, tiny berries. Thank you, Jeremy. Like a mouse's skin versus an elephant. Thank you. That's a very good way of describing it. So yes, lots of skin, but not thick skin, because Pinot Noir traditionally has quite thin skin, but because the berries were so small, there was lots of skin in ratio to juice. Alison, that is a very good price for that wine, and you could not buy that Devil Bean Creek Pinot at that price from the cellar doors, so buy as much of that as you would like to. Pricing is a really interesting thing because we sell the wine to our distributors who then sell them to retailers and restaurants, and we don't discount. Traditionally, we don't give very many discounts at all, a little pouring discount for a restaurant that wants to put the wine on by the glass, but we're pretty tight with our discounts, as are our distributors. What we can't do is tell our distributors to actually make any money out of selling the wine. So if they want to sell Devil Bean Creek at $25 a bottle, they're not making very much margin at all, and that's great for you. I don't think it's great for them. It's you know, it doesn't bother me. I think, you know, but I think it's a bit silly because $25 for Devil Bean Creek Pinot is an absolute bargain. Anyway, moving on. Lots of talk today. I know, Michael. There was to be honest with you, there was no concern from me, and I was really surprised when I got feedback from our distributor going, whoa, this wine's pretty tight and a bit bitter and quite savoury. Hello, Polly. Sorry, Polly's gone mad again. Paul, we're talking to my friends. You can't be shouting. Have you had some dinner? Go find Jill. Stopped her for a moment anyway. Thanks, Kay. I'm glad that you've enjoyed it. The wine is perfect, and I think, and absolutely, Michael, the problem with most Australians appreciating Australian Pinot Noir is that a lot of them haven't tasted really great Pinot Noir from Burgundy, and they don't understand that the wine can handle a lot of structure if it's got the quality fruit behind it. The thing that really frustrates me is that wine writers that I know who and sommeliers who I know drink a lot of really expensive, high quality, good Burgundy still say to me, oh, this wine's a bit structured for Australian Pinot. I'm like, but you understand how structured wine works. It needs some air, and it needs some time, and it needs to evolve. So, it's just an ongoing little battle that we're having. But having the opportunity to Shell, you're so naughty. Everyone's saying now, Sam's also agreed that that this wine is excellent with cheese. And John, I'm also shocked at the tax on wine. The tax on wine is 40% of what you pay for a bottle of wine is tax. So, just remember that whenever you're buying a bottle of wine. It does have lovely spicy finish, Alison, and it's still got that little bitter tannin right on the finish, which I love. But I think that was the thing that really people struggled with, as this one was a young wine. It's got this beautiful also Campari-like sort of herbal, sweet, savoury kind of little tension in the wine, which I think is awesome. Michael, at the new tasting in Paris, I think the more often I get to put wine into people's glasses and drink wine with people like you guys and spread the message that way, I think is the most important thing. It's really cool. And we're not Burgundy. They're Burgundy snobs, absolutely, Craig. And I think people will start to get it. But it's about the press releases and the spin and all that kind of thing. And to be honest with you, I'm the best at doing spin and press releases at Moorooduc Estate, and none of us are very good at it, really. We just like to talk honestly about the wine and kind of let the wine speak for itself. So, maybe that's our problem. Not that I think that we have a problem. I think even finding a distributor who understands what we're doing. So these guys who started selling these wines got a little bit freaked out about the change from 2013 to 14. They're now much more relaxed about the fact that the wines are going to reflect the vintage. And I'm on at the other side of things, I'm much more communicative with them as the wine is evolving and as it's being made. So I get that they're very wine educated people. They're not just, stack them up, sell them out kind of guys. They love wine. They're very interested in the processes and how it works. If you're there today, I think he's on holiday, so I'm hoping he's listening to me because I'm saying lovely things about him. And Tom. But we work really hard with these guys, and also our friends up in Sydney, Jeremy and Cameron, who might also be watching. We try really hard to include them in the conversation about what a vintage was like and how it's evolving and what it's going to do. And I think that's really working very well. And what we did was change from a big multinational kind of Australia-wide distribution company to little guys who are really passionate about wine, selling wine in the three major states. So at the moment we're in Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. We'd love to find someone in Perth that's the right person to work with, but we haven't yet, but whatever. Rob and Deb, I'm not even going to touch nuclear submarines, but I think it is really interesting that friends, the French, are very pissed off with us Australians at the moment. Have they really, Craig, put a ban on us drinking their wine now? Well, I think The other thing that's going to be really interesting is I know it's hard work. Another thing that we're going to have to consider that I read about today and I've been hearing about on and off over the last couple of weeks is that shipping wine around the world is getting more and more expensive, and containers are ending up in the wrong places, and trying to get them to where we can put stuff in them like wine and send them to places that want to buy them. It's going to get harder. It's going to get more expensive. So I think, while for us it's really important to have a little bit of a presence in the rest of the world, if we can sell our wine to discerning consumers like you guys closer to home, then that makes life much more joyous. Andrew says, but we haven't had a bad year yet. Well, Alison, we've had difficult years, but the trick there is that we don't release bad wine. If the wine's not up to standard for any of the brands, then we don't put them in. We would not put a wine that we were not happy with under that Moorooduc Estate label. We wouldn't put a wine that we were not happy with under the Devil Bent Creek label. We wouldn't put a wine that we didn't think was a quality equal to one of our single vineyard wines under the single vineyard label. We're small. We rely very much on the loyalty of our customers. And what we can say is that we will, if we have a difficult year and we have fruit that is not up to standard, it doesn't get made into Moorooduc Estate wine. And so that's why when you get a difficult year and someone says, 2014 was a crap year and nobody made any good wine, we would only make the wine if we thought it was worthy of the Moorooduc Estate label being put on it, because that's our guarantee. Hello, Jill. You're in the shot with Frody. Frody's a bit wet. Poor old dog. Bit wet, a little poor old dog. Yes. Okay. So now, what are you guys saying? We'll skip over the submarines, but yes, I don't know what this one would be like in a submarine, but I'm happy to go and try it out. No, actually, I think I'd get claustrophobic in a submarine. Someone else can do that tasting for me. Thank you, Neil. Okay, excellent. 2017 Moorooduc Estate Pinot Noirs in your cellar. Yeah. See you later, Michael. Enjoy the spinach rolls. Rob and Deb, you keep drinking it, keep buying it, keep drinking it. We'll keep selling it to you. Very, very happy. I think Jill, Craig says hi. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, politics, submarines, the French, Pinot Noir, it brings it all out, doesn't it? You guys get to this stage at about 40 minutes. Philosophical, I call it. I'm so glad you've enjoyed this wine tonight. I'm absolutely rapt at how beautiful it's looking. It's opening up still really slowly. It's, if you think back to 2 weeks ago with that 2004 Pinot Noir, which looked great when we first opened it and then kind of fell off its perch after about 20, 25 minutes. This wine's not doing that at all. It's a lot younger, mind you. It's 10 years younger. So, but it's really at the prime of its life, and it has a potential to keep on going. So I'm sorry that I don't have cases and cases of this wine to offer to sell to you guys, but it's just really wonderful to be able to share the few bottles that we have with you in our lockdown, and to make lockdown life a little bit more enjoyable every week. So thank you. On that note, I'm going to let you guys go and enjoy your mushrooms. And yes, and as we kind of slowly open up and come out of lockdown, I hope that you guys will continue on this little path with me. Next week, we are going back to Chardonnay, and we've got a 2012 Estate Chardonnay, which I think is going to be super, super fun and delicious. And then the following week, we're going to do 2015 Estate Pinot Noir. So lots of treats still to come. It's been awesome as always. Take care of yourselves. Stay out of the rain. Enjoy your Pinot Noir. Thank you so much, everyone. And I'm glad that the mushrooms and the cheese worked well. I hope the duck's working well with it. I haven't had any comments about duck. Yes, Sid, 12 versus 11. We'll talk about that next week. It's going to be awesome. Take care. Love you all. Have a lovely evening. See ya.